All right, we're back. Like I promised, we're gonna we're gonna be doing these Lomachenko Lopez videos maybe a couple times a day now for a while. Like I promised, this is gonna be a Loma Lopez marathon because I'm gonna continue to stick it to you, obsessive Lomachenko fans, and I'm just not gonna let up. Well, I was watching a podcast this morning, and this podcast is supposed to be a very reputable podcast. A lot of people give the guys a lot of credit and a lot of respect who do this podcast, and I'm not going to mention their names because I don't want to put them on blast because these guys I think are supposedly and usually are pretty knowledgeable boxing people, but I just heard them say some ridiculous things like this wasn't this wasn't what like what Lopez did is more or less what Lomachenko didn't do. It's almost as if there's insinuating that uh, Lomachenko just gave the fight away instead of Lopez actually winning the fight. And again, it's just this whole narrative when you have a fighter who normally you see him throw a ton of punches. And then all of a sudden, in a certain specific fight, when he goes up against a certain specific guy, because as we say, styles make fights. That's the old cliche in boxing. And a guy who goes up against the wrong style, a guy who goes up against a guy who can take his best weapons away from him, a guy who goes up against a style who just knows how to nullify him, who just knows how to contain him, who just won't allow him to do the things that he normally likes to do, that he's normally comfortable doing. When a guy is taken out of his comfort zone, then he's not going to do the same things he does against other opponents. He's not going to have the same success. He's not going to look as great, and he's not going to be able to do the things he normally does. I told you, I told you before this fight. I wasn't right about everything in my analysis, but I was right about a lot of key things that did play a factor into this fight. I'm not going to lie to you. I picked Lopez by knockout in the eighth round. Um, and it did not go exactly as I expected. I didn't think it was impossible for Lopez to win a decision here, but that was not my pick. I picked him to win by knockout. And he thoroughly outboxed Lomachenko for 8 or 9 rounds in that fight. I'm not going to buy into the narrative that the ESPN employees are trying to say to everyone, and everyone's eating it up like candy. Everyone's eating it up like candy. And I'm just not going to buy into it. I'm just not going to buy into it. Just not going to buy into it because everyone copied and pasted Andre Ward's scorecard. All the Loma fanatics, they just copied and pasted Andre Ward's scorecard. And they're using Andre Ward's scorecard to justify their scorecards. Well, Andre Ward scored it that way. So it has to be a draw, which is bullshit. Because I explained to you why it was almost impossible. It virtually was impossible to score rounds 2 and 7 for Lomachenko. You just couldn't, especially round 2. I went back and watched this fight yesterday another time, and I really intently watched round 2. And outside of round 12, you can make an argument that round 2 could have possibly been Teofimo Lopez's most dominant round. He landed 2 right hands in the beginning of that round. And in that round, he landed a significant amount of body punches. He was punching Lomachenko in the body and like lifting him off the ground and pushing him back in that round. So now the narrative is, oh, well, Lomachenko started too late. If he did what he did in rounds 8, 9, 10, and 11, then he probably would have won the fight, or he could have won the fight. But in round 8, Teofimo Lopez was punching right with them. And I thought round 8, you could make an argument that Teofimo Lopez possibly could have got that round. It's a swing round, in my opinion. Now, to me, that was the only clear swing round in the fight. I don't think 2 and 7 were swing rounds. I just don't. So basically, these guys are saying that Teofimo Lopez didn't really win the fight. Lomachenko lost the fight, as if he gave it to him. Hearing idiots on here saying that Lomachenko intentionally lost the first 6, 7 rounds so he could try and tire Teofimo Lopez out in the second half of the fight. So all these people are sitting there saying, well, what if Lomachenko did what he did in the 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th rounds? What if he did that from the beginning of the fight? My response to that is, well, what if Teofimo Lopez did what he did in the 12th round, the beginning of the fight? Lomachenko would have got knocked out. Because he was hurt in that round. He got hit with friggin' 50 punches in that round. And like 45 of them, or 47 or whatever, they were all power punches. He got rocked and wobbled with that left hook and got knocked back. I thought he was almost going to get knocked down in that round, possibly even stopped. So what if Teofimo Lopez did what he did in the 12th round in the first 7? Then Teofimo Lopez would have knocked him out. Teofimo Lopez was the one who was making the adjustments here. I told you guys, Lomachenko is a pattern fighter. He's a pattern fighter. And he switched it up. He became more aggressive in rounds 8, 9, 10, and 11. But again, that's when some of the headbutts occurred, and some of those headbutts did have an effect on Teofimo Lopez. No excuses. It's a fight. You got to deal with what's going on in front of you. If a guy's going to get rough and rugged with you, you got to deal with that. And he did make the adjustment and came back in the 12th round. And the 8th round, I thought, was he fought him pretty much on even terms, but Lomachenko, you could argue, possibly pushed him back and was a little bit more aggressive in that round. So you can give Lomachenko the 8th round. But I almost did give it to Teofimo Lopez. I thought that round was up for grabs. 9, 10, and 11, clearly Lomachenko rounds. So this whole narrative of Lomachenko should have done more, it's bullshit, because he couldn't have done more, because Teofimo Lopez did not allow him to do more. If you're so used to moving side to side, okay, and being in there with guys who can't deal with your speed, so you move side to side, you move to a side, and you create a punching angle for yourself, and you catch your opponent out of position because you're able to move to the side, and he can't deal with your speed and keep up with you, and you're catching him out of position, and you're landing punches because you're able to step around this guy, move around this guy. Continuously, he was allowed to pivot to the right and create punching angles for himself because nobody could keep up with him. But I told you, adaptive, reactive. I told you every time Lomachenko tried to pivot out to his right, Lopez would move with him and get there to that spot where Lomachenko was moving to before Lomachenko got there. And he kept and continuously took the punching angles away from Lomachenko. He kept the jab in his face and did not allow Lomachenko to set up his offense. He just did not allow him to set up his offense. He just did not allow him to set up his offense because of the jab, because of the quickness, because of the ability to keep cutting him off. If he didn't have the speed, the quickness, and the foot speed, and if he didn't have, like I told you, he was faster than Lomachenko himself. So Lomachenko was in there with a guy who was faster than him for the first time in his career. He was in there with a guy who had better reflexes than him for the first time in his career. He was in there with a guy who had just as high, if not a higher, boxing IQ for the first time in his career. So that's why he was not able to do what he wanted to do. That's why he was not able to start earlier, because he was not allowed to. He was outpunched in every single round. Even the rounds he won, Lopez threw more punches than him. He threw double the amount of punches than him in every single round in this fight. And he landed, even in the rounds Lopez lost, he landed more power punches than Lomachenko in every single round in this fight. So how could you even say a fight like this was competitive or close when a guy's being outpunched and outlanded in every single round of the fight? Even the rounds he lost. Even the rounds Lopez lost, he was still outlanding and outpunching Lomachenko. So how could you even remotely say that this fight was close? Lomachenko didn't do more earlier in this fight because of what Lopez did. It's not because of what Lomachenko didn't do. It's about what Lopez did do. And you just have to deal with that. You just have to deal with that. So all these people on here making these videos and these supposed boxing pundits who are supposed to be smart analysts are sitting there saying, well, Lomachenko should have started faster. Like these things you hear about, oh, well, he shouldn't have gave away the rounds. Like you hear people who supposedly are supposed to be smart, knowledgeable boxing people, and you hear them say things like in fights, oh, well, the guy should have started faster. Oh, well, the guy shouldn't have gave away rounds. Do you think Lomachenko actually got up that morning on October 17th and said to himself, I'm only going to throw 300 punches today? Do you think he woke up that morning and said to himself, I'm going to give away the first 7 rounds on purpose? Do you really think that that was the game plan? And you really think it didn't have anything to do with what he had in front of him? Just like Manny Pacquiao, a guy who throws 1,000 punches in a fight, 100 punches a round. Not when he fought Marquez, he didn't. Not when he fought Marquez, not when he fought Floyd Mayweather. Because when you have guys in front of you that take your best weapons away from you, when you have a guy in front of you who knows what you're going to do and is ready for what you're going to do and is able to react to what you're going to do before you do it, and takes away your weapons, your punching angles, nullifies your movement, hits you to the body and weakens you so you can't move as much as the fight goes on, keeps a jab in your face so you're not allowed to get set. And every time you pivot right, he's there before you get to the spot you're trying to get to and takes that punching angle away from you, then you're not going to be able to throw the amount of punches that you want to. And you're in there with a guy who has freakish power, who's an excellent counter puncher, and he's hitting you to the body and he's hitting you with counter uppercuts when you're coming in. It's going to make you think twice before you throw. So he didn't wake up on the morning of October 17th and say to himself, hey, I'm only going to throw 300 punches today. Hey, I'm just going to give this guy the first 7 rounds because I think I can knock him out in the second half of the fight. Well, all you people who said that, what if Lomachenko did what he did in 8, 9, 10, and 11? My response to that is, well, what if Lopez did what he did in the 12th in rounds 1 through 7? Then Lomachenko would have got knocked out. That's my answer to you guys. If Lomachenko did what he did in 8, 9, 10, and 11 against Lopez, if he did that in rounds 1 through 7, then Lopez would have just did what he did in round 12. And here's another point that people aren't realizing. Lopez landed a clean, clear body shot right on the belt line. Lomachenko jumped back and jumped up off his feet. Okay? And even with him, it was his fault that the punch even landed right on the belt line. It would have landed right on his midsection properly if he didn't jump back and jump up in the air. And then he He bends over. That was a legal shot. So what would have happened if the referee at that point in time did not stop the action and allowed the action to continue when Lomachenko bent over like that? What if Lopez, after Lomachenko bent over and the referee allowed that sequence to continue? What if Lopez came back and landed a right uppercut and came back with a left hook and knocked him down and significantly hurt him? At that point in time, you can make an argument that Lopez had him in trouble and the referee saved him. And the referee saved him. So if you guys want to play the games of woulda, coulda, shoulda, my response to that is, what if the ref allowed that sequence to continue and Lopez continued to pour on the pressure? And possibly could have hurt him even more significantly, maybe even knocked him down or knocked him out in that sequence. What if Lopez did what he did in the 12th round for the first half of the fight? I know I keep saying that, but but if you want to play the game of what ifs, let's play the game of what ifs. So Lomachenko was not more active in this fight because he was in there with a guy who would not allow him to be more active. He was in there with a guy that was prepared, had the abilities, had the speed, had the boxing IQ, had the defensive reflexes, had the adaptive reactive ability to nullify what he was able to do against other guys. Like I explained to you before the fight even took place, I said that Lopez is faster than Lomachenko. I said Lopez's footwork is just as good, if not better, than Lomachenko's because of his quick reaction time. He has the ability to, when he sees a guy going to a spot, when he sees a guy trying to move and create a punching angle on him, he moves with that guy and gets there before that guy is able to meet his destination. He stops a guy in their tracks before they can create the punching angle. He takes punching angles away from people because of his ability to react to what's going on in front of him. He's not gonna bite on a feint like normal fighters would. Okay, he's not gonna follow you around the ring and allow you to be a step ahead of him. He's just not. I told you all these things. I told you Lomachenko is a pattern fighter. He kept moving side to side, side to side, side to side, and then he would stop, try to slide in, and he couldn't do anything because Lopez knew where he was going to be. He knew what he was trying to do before he could actually complete the movement. Like I explained to you, I told you that this was going to happen. I told you that this was going to happen. And I'm not going to lie to you. What I saw in the 12th round, I was expecting to see in the first half of the fight from Lopez. And we didn't really see that. What if we saw that though? Look what Lopez was able to do to Lomachenko in that 12th round. That was the most I've ever seen Lomachenko hurt in a fight in that 12th round. Even though Linares knocked him down, that was kind of like a flash knockdown. He got up and he actually came back and won the round. But he got hit with 50 punches in that round. 50. Name any round in the career of Vasily Lomachenko where a guy was able to land 50 punches against him, and I think land like 43 of them or 45 of them were all power shots. Name a round in the career of Vasily Lomachenko when someone's able to land 61% of their power shots against him. That round was the most dominant round that any fighter has ever fought against Vasily Lomachenko in his entire career. He that round was by far and away the most dominant round in the fight for both fighters. Like in terms of, like if you look at all the rounds that Lomachenko won, and then you look at all the rounds that Teofimo Lopez won, like that was Lopez's most dominant round. That was the most decisive round in the fight. The most decisive round in the fight. That round Lomachenko took the most damage. And if you want to compare the rounds that Lopez lost to that round, even in the rounds he lost, he still outpunched and outlanded Lomachenko. Still outpunched and outlanded Lomachenko in every round of this fight, even in the rounds he lost. So he was still trying to, even though he clearly lost 9, 10, and 11, and I thought he lost, I had him losing 8 on my card, but like I said, I thought that was a swing. 9, 10, and 11, no argument for me. Okay? Those were clear Lomachenko rounds. It's fine. But even in losing those rounds, he was still coming back. He was still punching back. Lomachenko tried to come back. He tried to come back in round 12, but every time he came forward, he was getting countered. Lopez was walking him into short left hooks and short right hands and short right uppercuts and still ripping to the body. So I'm going to keep saying this, and I just don't understand how people can try and even say this fight was close. I think if you give every benefit of the doubt that you possibly can to Vasily Lomachenko, I don't see how you can score this fight or give him more than 4 rounds in this fight. I don't understand how some people gave him round 2 and some people gave him round 7. I just don't see it. I watched this fight so intently yesterday again. I said, maybe watch this one more time and try and find and see what these other people, these Lomachenko fanatics. I'm going to try and give these guys the benefit of the doubt one more fucking time. And I just couldn't, especially the second round. Like I said, outside of the 12th round, the other most dominant round in this fight for Teofimo Lopez, you could argue, was round 2, because he came and landed 2 big right hands, pushed him back. He was really ripping him to the body that round, and Lomachenko lands 1 decent left hand at the end of that round, and Joe Tessitore's voice gets all giddy, like a little schoolgirl. Like a little excited schoolgirl. Oh, look at the left hand by Lomachenko. Like, that was freaking Joe Tessitore was horrible that whole broadcast. But they were trying so hard to make that fight be more competitive and close than it really was. They were going out of their way. After every round, they were showing Lomachenko highlights, but they weren't showing Teofimo Lopez highlights. I mean, come on, guys. And then going into the 12th round, oh, this fight's on the table. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? Oh, this fight's on the table. It can go either way. Cut the shit. Stop it. Stop it. Please stop it. This was not a close fight, and I'm going to keep saying it every day. It was not a fucking close fight. It just wasn't. So that's the thing. It was not a close fight. Oh, well, Lomachenko should have just fought like he fought 8, 9, 10, and 11. Then he probably could have won the fight. No, because if he fought that way, then that Lopez that you saw in the 12th round would have emerged, and Lomachenko would have gotten he would have got knocked out. If Lomachenko fought the way he fought in rounds 8, 9, 10, and 11 from the outset, he would have got stopped. 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 If anyone gave Lomachenko any of the first 7 rounds, then the only reason why you could have given him one of the first 7 rounds is because you were trying very hard to do so. You were trying very hard to do so. You had to have gone out of your way to have given him one of the first 7 rounds. Any of the first 7 rounds. You had to have been trying to go out of your way to do so. This was just I told you, this was the wrong fight at the wrong time against the wrong guy. This was just the wrong style matchup for him. He's a pattern fighter. If you put a pattern fighter against any adaptive reactive fighter, Marquez is another adaptive reactive fighter, but he just doesn't have he's just not gifted with the reflexes of Teofimo Lopez. Okay? Floyd Mayweather is another adaptive reactive fighter. Okay? And when you put volume guys against guys like Teofimo Lopez, Juan Manuel Marquez, Floyd Mayweather, guys like Bernard Hopkins. Bernard Hopkins was another fighter who knew how to take opponents' best weapons against him. When guys fought Bernard Hopkins, he was such a good counterpuncher, such a slick guy because he had such a high ring IQ. He knew how to read opponents. But once again, he wasn't gifted with the reflexes of Teofimo Lopez. The reason why this kid is so special is because he has not only the physical gifts, but he has the intellect. He's just a smart fighter. He's got the intelligence. He's got the speed, the power. He's got all the physical attributes and gifts that any fighter could have. Athletically, he's a phenom. Mentally, he's a phenom. And then in the 12th round, he also showed you he had heart, how he could bite down, dig down deep, and take the play away from a guy. You can't refute that. Like, you can't take anything away. You can't sit there and try to say, oh, well, he didn't really win the fight. Lomachenko lost it. Lomachenko didn't do enough. No, he didn't do enough because he was not allowed to do enough. He was not allowed to do enough. That's why that happened. So I just can't say it any more clearer. I can't say it any more clearer. But I'm still going on YouTube, listening to videos, listening to podcasts. And I told you a lot of what was going on with Lomachenko was smoke and mirrors. And people still can't deal with the reality and come to the reality that maybe Lomachenko was not as good as you thought he was. He's not a Manny Pacquiao. He's not a Floyd Mayweather. He's not a Sugar Ray Leonard. He's not a Roberto Duran. He's not any of those guys. He's just not. He's just not. He's done a lot in his career. He's a very good fighter. Can't take anything away from him. But I just can't put him on that pedestal that you guys... And I would still vote him in the Hall of Fame based off of his accomplishments. Based off... He has a solid resume. Gary Russell, Nicholas Walters, Guillermo Rigondeaux, Jorge Linares. These are all good fighters, decent fighters, solid fighters. I think he fought the best possible opposition that he could at the time he was in all those divisions. He unified titles. Champion in 3 weight divisions in like 13, 14 fights. I would vote him in. You can only judge a guy based off of what he does in his era. Okay? You can only judge a guy based off of what he does in his era. And at the time he was campaigning in those weight classes, he fought the best available opposition. He was the number 1 lightweight. He earned that spot as being the number 1 lightweight until it was taken away from him by Teofimo Lopez. And I even give him credit for taking this fight because this was a dangerous fight for him. But with all that being said, like Bobby Ches once said, everybody's got a silver bullet with their name on it. I don't care who you are. Everybody's got that kryptonite. Everyone's got that kryptonite. Muhammad Ali, as great as he was, his kryptonite was Joe Frazier and Ken Norton. Right? Sugar Ray Leonard's kryptonite, Roberto Duran. at that time. Even though he avenged a loss, that was still a tough fight for him that first time around. Tommy Hearns, another kryptonite for Sugar Ray Leonard. Every time, even the fight that he knocked him out, whatever, that was a tough fight. It was close up. I think Tommy Hearns was winning on the scorecards before he got knocked out, and then when he fought him the second time, Tommy Hearns clearly won that fight, even though the fight was scored a draw, and even Ray Leonard admitted he lost that fight. So even the great Ray Leonard, okay, had kryptonite. Okay, Sugar Ray Robinson, he had issues with Gene Fullmer. Had a draw with Gene Fullmer, and Gene Fullmer beat him. And he was able to knock out Gene Fullmer once, but he always had a tough time with Gene Fullmer. Randy Turpin, even the great Sugar Ray Robinson had guys that were just tough style matchups for him. He's great, though. Go down the list of all these great fighters. Roberto Duran. His kryptonite was Sugar Ray Leonard. And Sugar Ray Leonard came back and beat him 2 more times. Marvin Hagler lost to Sugar Ray Leonard. Wrong place, wrong time against the wrong guy with the wrong style. Everybody has it. It happens to all of the greats. It doesn't mean you're not great. Lomachenko is great, but he's not an all-time great. I just don't think he's as good as those guys. And you guys, Bob Arum and everyone else over there at ESPN and Top Rank, they were trying to make him out. They were comparing him to Roberto Duran, and you just can't do that. They were saying things like, "Oh, he has landed a higher percentage of power shots, more so than any lightweight in history, even more than Roberto Duran." Roberto Duran had 119 fights. Fought all the way up until he was 50 years old. Okay, so let's keep things and put things into context. Lomachenko only fought at that time when they were saying it 15 fights. He was 14-1. Okay? So again, when you say someone's overrated, it doesn't mean you're saying they're not good, they're not great. You're just saying that people are saying that they're better than what they are. Okay? That's right, Ryan. I told everyone that there's going to be a marathon. This is the Lopez Lomachenko marathon. And we're going to be doing it maybe 2-3 videos a day for probably at least a month now. We're going to keep doing it. So when we say Lomachenko is overrated, it's an accurate statement because he's not as good as Roberto Duran. He's not as good as Sugar Ray Leonard. Okay? He's not as good as Floyd Mayweather, and he's not as good as Manny Pacquiao. It's not even close. He's a great fighter if you judge him for his era, but he is not an all-time great fighter. He's not an all-time great fighter. He's overrated. And I'm going to repeat and say something that I said yesterday. I think he spent too much time in the amateurs. I'm going to stand on that. I think by winning 2 gold medals, okay, instead of just after winning one, just saying, okay, that's enough. Let me turn pro. He stayed as an amateur to win a second one. He had 400 amateur fights, or almost like 398 or 397 amateur fights. Does anyone really need that many amateur fights? All the time he spent in the amateurs was time he took away that he could have been developing as a pro. So that's the one criticism I have for the guy's career. But with that being said, the accomplishments that he's achieved in such a short period of time, can't take that away from him. I can't take that away from him, and I won't take that away from him. This was a great victory for Teofimo Lopez. That's Teofimo Lopez's new name. I'm giving him a new name. He's Teofimo Lopez. This guy's a phenom. I told you guys, just like I told you about Tyson Fury. This guy is a superstar. He's the next boxing superstar. Remember, I told you that. Tia Phenom Lopez. That's his new name. Phenom. And I'm going to keep coming on here and reminding you guys how wrong you were. How wrong you were. You're going to have to remember it every single fucking day. You can try and score this fight 114 and 114 because you want to copy and paste Andre Ward's scorecard. You can say, oh, 115 and 113. You can lie to yourself all you want. But look what the judges scored the fight. Take away that ridiculous Julie Letterman scorecard and the other scores of 116 and 112 or 116 and 112 or 117 and 111. Those are the most plausible scorecards to me. Those are the most plausible scorecards to me. Not one judge gave Lomachenko any of the first 7 rounds. Not one. Not one. Not one judge gave Lomachenko the 12th. So how can a fight be close when all 3 judges agree on 8 rounds, and the 8 rounds they agree on, they gave to one fighter? Name one high-level professional fight when you have 2 guys going up against each other, like number 1 and 2. The 2 best fighters in the division going up against each other, right? Name one other time when this has happened and you have 3 judges that agree on 8 rounds. These judges, and 2 of the judges agreed on like 10 rounds. So you take Julie Letterman's scorecard out of it, all right? Because it's ridiculous to say that Lomachenko only won 1 round. Okay. You take Julie Letterman's scorecard out of it. Okay? But she was right. She was right for at least the first. She was right for at least the first 7 rounds, and she was right on the 12th round. Okay. So for 3/4 of the fight, she was right. The only area where she really fucked up was one quarter of the fight. So for 75% of the fight, she was actually right. It's just that quarter of the fight she was wrong. You could have easily given Lopez that 8th round. 9-3 is not ridiculous. Even round 10, I looked at round 10 again. That was a little bit more competitive than what the announcers were suggesting. You know, one judge gave Lopez round 10. All right, whatever. Whatever. Round 11 was the best round for Lomachenko of the fight. That was Lomachenko's best round. To me, and this is just my opinion, I think 114 is a worse scorecard than 119-109, because if you score this fight 114 and 114, then the right man would not have won. Max Kellerman, another all the ESPN employees, Stephen A. Smith, all the ESPN employees are trying to say, oh, this is 115, 113, either 114, 114, or 115, 113 for Lopez. This was a close fight. There were a lot of swing rounds. Stop. I just don't like. It's just a narrative that ESPN put out there by trying to make this fight closer than it was, when it just wasn't. It just wasn't. And then everyone's copy and pasting Andre Ward's scorecard. It's just ridiculous. So I'm going to end this video. I'm going to stop my day. Going to get back to the old salt mines, get back to work. You know, taking a little break here. Yeah, Showbiz, the audit said he bet 10K on Loma, but he didn't. But did he show his betting slip? I didn't see him show his betting slip. He said he did it, but I'm not going to believe him until I see his bet slip. Oh, he showed it? Okay. All right. I stand corrected then. I didn't see it. I'll go look for it. Okay. But Dwyer's ridiculous. He was telling people to bet Lomachenko and then straddle the fight. Then straddle the fight with Tio by knockout. Telling people to do that. Dwyer's like out of control. He's like the worst. Like he's the worst guy to take advice to on here. Like every bet, he takes every fight he takes the favorite, and he has the underdog straddled by KO. He's horrible. If you listen to Dwyer, you're gonna get you're gonna get destroyed. Everyone was emailing me and text messaging me. You know what they were saying? This is what they were saying. Beep, should I bet the stoppage proposition? You know what my answer to them was? No. Let's just bet them straight up. We're getting 3.5 to 1. Some guys were getting plus 375. Okay, so you bet the knockout proposition, you get a plus 500. Okay, it's more money. No, there's no. But why get greedy? Why get greedy? Why get greedy? Right? Why get greedy? So everyone takes it. Look how many times Dwyer gets crushed. He gets crushed. If you like a guy, just bet him straight up. Why do you have to straddle everything with a knockout proposition and put yourself in a position where you could lose both ends of the bet? If you bet Lomachenko and you did what Dwyer told you to do, you would have lost $500. If you did what I told you to do and you were wrong, you would have. I told people, just bet like $50 or $100. You're getting almost 4 to 1. Don't get greedy here, right? The most you would have lost if you bet me was probably $100. If you listened to Dwyer, you would have lost $500. You would have lost $500. Don't listen to Dwyer. Don't listen to Dwyer. I care about you guys, man. I care about you guys. I don't want to see you guys go bankrupt and lose your money. This is a guy who doesn't even buy pay-per-views. He's supposed to be this great lawyer, but he's doing videos with a Hanes t-shirt on in his fucking hallway. Come on. This guy's a fraud. This guy's a fraud, man. He's not like Beeb Industries, man. We're reputable. We're a Fortune 500 company, man. This is a Fortune 500 company over here, man. I show you the balance sheet. I show you all the picks. Does Dwyer show you his balance sheet? Does he show you his wins and losses? No, he doesn't. Right? So you can't trust a guy like that. Cannot trust a guy like that. Then he's a crooked lawyer on top of it all. You can't trust a guy like that. Then you leave comments, like people leave comments on his videos and he doesn't even respond to any of them. Like he's some fucking snob or something. The fuck is this guy? This guy's nothing, man. Beeb Industries, man. Listen to Beeb Industries. I picked Teofimo by KO. Yes, I had him win. I picked him with the 8th round stoppage, but I advised everybody to bet him straight up. I advised everyone to bet him straight up because I told everyone if we were getting such great odds straight up, okay, what if a headbutt occurs and the fight goes to the scorecards or something? Anything can happen. You don't know what's going to happen. What if he knocked Lomachenko down a couple times and Lomachenko got up and still finished the fight? You don't know. So I picked him by KO. That was my official pick, but I didn't want to back us into a corner. I didn't want to back us into a corner and put ourselves in a position where, we weren't going to get paid. I wanted to give us the best possible chance to get paid, and in doing so, I thought the best pick would be just to bet Teofimo Lopez straight up. Mello said he got a plus 455 straight up. So again, it was the right pick. But yeah, my official pick was Teofimo Lopez by 8th round stoppage. That was my official pick. And part of me, when I was listening to that fight being announced, I just had a feeling that I was nervous that they were going to screw Teofimo Lopez. A little bit, yeah. I was a little surprised that he outboxed him the way he did. I thought he was going to kind of outfight him. I thought he was actually going to beat him up. I don't give Joe Joyce a shot against Dubois. No, I just don't. Joe Joyce, to me, he's very slow. He's a very slow heavyweight. I just don't see it. Yeah, I have to say Teofimo Lopez did impress me a little bit. I did not think he would fight such a technical fight. I thought he would fight. What I saw in the 12th round from Teofimo Lopez, that's the fight that I thought I was going to see for pretty much the whole fight. To be honest, I'm not going to lie. I am not going to lie. I have to be honest. Thank you, Alexander Wilson. Aram just said, don't rule out a Vasily Lomachenko rematch. Interesting. Dwyer got a lot of people on crypto. People made money with that. Yeah, well, I mean, again, my whole thing is this. If you're taking all the money that you make from crypto and you're blowing it on boxing fights, then are you really in the black? So if he's telling you what to do on crypto and you're making that money off crypto, and then turning around and you're taking that money and losing it on gambling bets, then what are you really doing? The guy's telling you to make bets and he straddles everything. You know how many times this guy's lost on both ends of his bets? Or unless he's just lying to you and he doesn't make he says unless he's not making the bets he's actually telling you he's making. But you could tell he's probably making those bets because when he makes those recap videos, he has like a long face on and he sounds all pissed off and shit. So he probably is. Like the guy's taking look, this guy has taken a bath. Go look at his picks. How many times has he made picks and he's taken a bath? I don't hate Dwyer. I just think he's a fraud. I think he's a fraud. How good of a lawyer can he be if he's making videos with a fucking faded white Hanes t-shirt on in a hallway? Then he's got like a fucking a Windows 98 computer in the background. I mean, come on. This guy's a fraud. This guy's a fraud. He's overrated. The opinion you should follow should be your own. Well, guess what, Dwyer? It's certainly not going to be the opinion that I follow. Certainly not going to be yours. Because if I followed yours, I'd be bankrupt. Yeah, you're a stranger. How could you be a fucking stranger if I already know your first name, your last name? How are you a stranger online when you put yourself out there on camera and you tell everybody your name? How are you a stranger? And the reason why he tells you that is because he knows he's a fucking bullshit artist. A stranger is someone you walk down the street and you look at a guy and he bumps into you. Excuse me, sir. That's a stranger. You don't even know who the guy is. I'm not a stranger to you. You guys know my name is Joe Habib. You know I'm from Boston. You know who I am. I'm not a stranger. It's not like you. It's not like we hang out or anything. But you know. But we're not. But I'm not a stranger. Remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. I'm just a stranger. No, you're not a stranger. I know who you are. You live in California. Your name's Richard Dwyer. I could do a fucking. I could go on and tell us and do a background check on you, and I could find out where you live if I wanted to. So you're not a stranger. Yeah, he got fired. Andre Wood. Andre Wood fired him. Andre Wood fired him, and Andre Wood lost that case because he had Dwyer as the lawyer. I'd love to have him on the show, but he would never come on because he's a snob. He thinks he's fucking his shit don't stink. The opinion you should follow should be your own. A fucking fraud. That guy's a fraud. He always has been. Oh, all right, guys. I'm gonna get my day started here. I'll talk to you guys later, man. Have a great day, man. And I'll probably be back here later today or maybe tomorrow. We're gonna be doing these videos. Lomachenko Lopez marathon all week. I'll be here all week, guys. So thank you so much. Thank you, Alexander Wilson, for the super chat there. Dwyer was on our Woods legal team versus Goosen. Yeah. All right. Awesome, guys. Thank you so much, man. Talk to you guys soon. And have a great one, man. And I'm looking forward to Leo Santa Cruz versus Tank Davis. I'm rolling with Leo Santa Cruz in that one. I think he's a live underdog, but I will say this: I am impressed with how Tank is looking in camp. He looks in shape. He looks ready. He looks focused. So this is going to be a good fight. But I still think style-wise, Leo Santa Cruz is going to bring him a lot of problems. So I think it's worth a little tickle, as they say. Could put a little tickle on on Leo Santa Cruz, because by fight time he's probably going to be a plus 450. Lay a small one on him. He's live. I think the volume, I think the solid chin, the way he rolls shots, the underrated defense, I think the height, the reach, the versatility is going to be a problem for Tank Davis. So we're still going to go with Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo Lopez. I keep saying Teofimo Lopez. We're still going to go with Leo Santa Cruz. He's a live dog. So we're gonna go with him. A rematch for what, Corey? Come on, there's no rematch clause here. I already told you. I spoke with the people over at Top Rank. They did not think Teofimo Lopez was going to win, so that's why they didn't put a rematch clause in the contract. They already had a contract, a side contract already drawn up for Teofimo Lopez with a new purse structure because they thought he was going to lose. They were already going to give him a contract saying that this is going to be your new purse. You're going to be making this amount of money. They already were getting ready to give him a pay cut after he lost this fight. This fight wasn't even close, man. Fight wasn't even close. Who even wants to see a rematch? Lomachenko got blown out. It's one-sided, this fight. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Beeb is out. Talk to y'all soon. Have a great one.